Thank you for joining this lesson. We shall be discussing Kjsea Grade 9, 2025. So this is the final preparation paper that we're going to post for the candidates of 2025, and we're wishing you well from Shifting Grades Online School. This is your home of academics. Look at our programs here for the continuing learners. From the 20th of November to the 12th of December, 2025, we'll be having the one-term ahead program via Google Meet. This one will be covering the term 1 work of 2026. We're targeting the junior school students and also the senior school students. Remember to consult us through our line 0704 15 3366. Let's now get to the paper. We start from number 1. We're going to handle the full paper, the 100 marks. So stay tuned throughout the session. Invite a friend to our broadcast by just sharing the link or advising them to simply search Shifting Grades Online School on their YouTube app. The number of youths given a voter card in the year 2022 were the figure stated here. Look at this figure. Write the number of youths with voters card in words. So now if I put some commas here after every 3 digits and here, then the number is in terms of millions. So we have 2 millions. Then 99,000. It's 9,000s and 99. So that's what we should read now. 2,099,099. Number 1A, 20 million, so we eliminate that. 200, we eliminate that. It should start with 2 million. 20 million, so we also eliminate C. But looking at D now, it's 2,099,099. Therefore, that is the correct answer. A school bus took 30 seconds to reach the destination, which was 900 meters away. What was its speed in kilometers per hour? For you to find speed in kilometers per hour, remember, generally speed should be distance over time taken. Therefore, you should have your distance in kilometers and your time in hours. But again, you can still find meters per second. Then you convert now the speed. So we can take 900 meters as the distance over 30 seconds. You know, when we take 900 dividing by 30, this gives us 30 meters per second. So the 30 meters per second is now what should be converted. For this case now, 30 meters per second. The meters to be kilometers should be divided by 1,000 to become kilometers. Then we are having the second here. The second should be divided by 3,600 to become hours. So if you divide second by 3,600, it's the same as multiplying by 3,600 over 1. So we are dividing the denominator by 3,600. You see that? It makes the divisor now to become the numerator that way. So now we'll be having 30 multiplied by 3,600 out of 1,000. This now becomes 108 kilometers per hour. I said you can just begin by conversion, whereby you take the 900, you divide by 1,000, so that you get 0.9 kilometers as the distance. Then the time, which is 30 seconds, you divide by 3,600, so that you get 1/20 hours. 1/120 hours. That's after converting now. So now we'll be taking, this is the alternative now. I've converted the units before going to the formula. Speed equals to distance divided by time. So this is 0.9 times 120 over 1. Automatically 108 kilometers per hour, making C the right option. Making C the right option in number 2. Now, a mathematics teacher in JS was introducing integers to the learners. He wrote some numbers on the board. Which of these numbers is an integer? What are integers first? Just before you respond to the question, have an understanding of what integers are. These are counting numbers, which might be positive, negatives, and 0, because 0 is a number. So 0 is inclusive, then positives and negative, all numbers. Now, from that definition, what we eliminate from the definition of integers is fractions and decimals. So this is a decimal, we eliminate this, we also eliminate this. We only remain with one number there, which is an integer. So -8 is an integer. The others are fractions and decimals. Those are not integers. Counting numbers, whole numbers, positives and negatives, 0 inclusive, gives us what we call integers. Number 4, a grade 9 learner was revising the laws of indices and came across the expression 3 power 9 divided by 3 power 4 multiplied by 3 power 3. Using the laws of indices, what is the simplified form of the expression? Look at this. According to the laws of indices, in case you got a number, let's say a raised to m, multiplied by the same base to a different index, then you simply take m plus n. And when it's division, a power m divided by a power n, now we can solve this by simply taking the difference in the powers. With this understanding of the first two laws of indices, then we can say from the numerator 3 power 9 out of, from the denominator now, we have 3, then we add, because that's a multiplication and the base is the same, 4 and 3 added, giving us 7. So now we are having 3 power 9 being divided by 3 power 7, whereby, since it's a division now, we take 3 and the powers are subtracted, giving us 3 squared as the final answer, 3 power 2, making D the right answer in number 4. Number 5, a student recorded the temperature of an experiment using a digital thermometer as 0.034565 degrees Celsius. What is the temperature? Correct to 2 significant figures. We consider the first significant figures here. The first 2 zeros are not significant. Remember, 0 is only significant if it's in between significant numbers or it's at the end of a decimal number. Those two cases, 0 is significant if it's between significant figures, or it's at the end of a decimal number, or it is at the end of a whole number, which isn't a decimal. All right, with that now, we can say that the first significant number is 3, followed by 4. So 4 is the second significant figure. Now we check the number after that. The figure after 4 is a 5, and 5 can increase 4 to 5. So 0.03 and 4 is increased. So these are 2 significant figures. 0.035. 0.035. That is the option B. That's the right answer. Look at number 6, ladies and gentlemen. A grade 9 learner in class was asked to simplify an expression in a mathematics lesson, right? So we've I don't know whether this has been properly typed. Let me check the correct question so that you may solve the right thing. So let me retype. Let me retype this. This number 6, right? Yeah. Number 6, in the process of converting the Word document, some things get tampered with. So we are solving. I have m minus 9 plus a quarter m plus 6. Yeah, that's what now we are solving. Simplify this expression. So half plus a quarter, because we have to group the terms with m together. Then the other constants now which are not having m should also be grouped together. So this 3/4 of m, then minus 9 plus 6, it remains minus 3. We have such a simplified expression. Do we have such a simplified expression? Actually, there was an issue here. We should be having m at these points. M. So there was an issue in the typing of this particular question. Anyway, this makes C the right option. So we should be having letter M's at those points. And all the other expressions shall be wrong except C. Looking at number 7 now, we are told that in an experiment, a student drew a line with a gradient of -3/4. If the straight line passes through the point A for 3, determine the equation of the line in the form y equals to mx plus c. So how do we determine equation of a straight line? We use the provided coordinates together with the coordinates xy so that we may express the gradient, -3/4. When a gradient is negative and it's a fraction, the negative is borne by the numerator. The denominator doesn't have a negative, and both of them cannot have negatives. So the gradient equals to change in y minus 3, out of change in x minus 4. Then after this, we cross multiply. I would encourage people to cross multiply in such a way that the terms with y shall be to the left-hand side in advance. Instead of starting with the x, then you spend a lot of time rearranging your terms. So 4 multiplied by y and also by 3 to give us -12, right? Equals to -3, x positive 12. Look at that now. We can remain with 4y here. Then we have -3, x plus 24 because of 12. And the negative on the right becomes positive on the right-hand side. This negative here becomes positive here. So it becomes a 24. Remain with y and have the 3/4 of x plus 6. 3/4 of x plus 6. -3/4 of x plus 6. When I look at the equation, I would sense that they still have is it a typo error? Yes. There's some typing error. But anyway, the basic thing is to understand how a concept should be approached. That way, D is the right answer. That way, D is the right answer. Number 8, a shop stocks different types of bread milk, and eggs. The quantities of each type of item in two different deliveries were represented by the matrix below. What was the order of the matrix? For us to come up with the order of the matrix, we have to count the number of rows, then multiplied by the number of columns. So the rows here are 1, 2. We're having 2 rows times the number of columns, 1, 2, 3 columns. This one now is read as order 2 by 3. The order is 2 by 3. 2 by 3. Order 2 by 3, making B the right answer in that case. Highway Junior School has 2 bells that ring at intervals of 40 minutes and 30 minutes. If they rang together at 10:30 a.m., at what time are they rang together before? That's now about before, not the time they will ring again together. So 40, 30, we find the LCM so that we know the next time or the interval they will take, to ring together. By 2, 20, 15. By 2, once again, 10, 15. And by 2, 5, 15. Then we go to 3, 5, 5. Then by 5, 1, 1. So with this now we can say 2 power 3 times 3 times 5. You know, this is now 8 times 15. 8 by 15. This gives us 120 minutes. That is the interval they take to ring together. This now can be divided by 60 to give us 2 hours. So the interval is 2 hours. If they are ringing together at 10:30, then they had rung together 2 hours before. So 8:30 a.m. the same day. 8:30 a.m. the same day. Very simple. 8:30 a.m. the same day. Now, a classroom floor is in the shape of a rectangle. The length of the classroom is twice the width. The perimeter of the floor is 30 meters. What is the area of the floor? Very quickly, we interpret this. You know, we should know that if length is let to be x, then width can be related to x because the length is twice the width. Okay, instead of introducing a fraction because I was to say half, let the width be x so that the length is twice the value of the width. So length is twice the width this way now. The perimeter of the floor is 30 meters, meaning that perimeter is usually given by 2 length plus width. Therefore, the perimeter of 30 is equal to 2 into x plus 2x. We can divide by the 2 or open the brackets by 2. Any shall work. So that the value of x now becomes 5 meters. If x is 5 meters, this is the width. Then the length is now 10. Yeah, like that. Then now the area becomes length times width. Length times width. Length times width will give us 5 by 10, which is equivalent to 50 meters squared. 50 meters squared. That is the correct answer, 50 meters squared. Even if from what has been provided here, we cannot see 50 square meters. That doesn't mean we are wrong. 50 meters squared. That is the right answer. It's good for you to have the confidence that NEC doesn't have some of the areas, some of the errors that you can see would not be found in NEC. Now, a grade 9 learner went around a rectangular handball field and covered 100 meters. If the length of the rectangular field is 28, meters. What is the width of the field? This is now perimeter, whereby we are saying the perimeter is 100. It's a rectangular field, and a learner is running around it, meaning that when they cover 100 meters, that's the perimeter. This is given by 2 length plus the unknown width. So 50 equals to 28 plus W. How can we remain with width? 22. We subtract 50 and 28. As long as you have the formula with yourself, how to find a certain quantity, you won't struggle. You won't struggle at all. Those who are joining us late, kindly remember to subscribe. Remember to share this particular broadcast with your friends. Invite people to our wonderful revision programs. In Nairobi sales, okay, in Nairobi, this should be in Nairobi, sorry. A Nairobi saleswoman was paid salary of 15,000 per month and a commission of 3% on the sales she made. If she sold goods worth 150,000, how much money did she get that month? So she's going to first get 3% of the sales made. So this shall be 4500. Then after getting 4500 as the commission now, we add the 15,000 salary now to these. This should be 591. So 19,500. 19,500 Kenya shillings. That is the amount of money she got this particular month. So we have a certain CDF here. I don't know whether this is Nairobi government CDF, constructed a cylindrical water tank in a school with diameter 15 meters and height 5 meters. How many liters of water can it hold when full? So let's first find what we call the volume, and from that we shall convert the volume to capacity in liters. So volume is usually given by the cross-section area, which is circular, pi r squared multiplied by the height of this particular tank. So 3.142 times a radius of 7, because the diameter is 14. 7 squared multiplied by height of 5. Let's find the volume first. This shall be 3.142 multiplied by 7 squared multiplied by 5. So I'm having a 769.79 cubic meters. Then we say that 1 cubic meter is usually equal to 1,000 liters of capacity. What about when the cubic meters are 769.79? Now we do what we call multiplication here. Yes, we're supposed now to multiply 1,000 times 769.79. When we multiply this by 1,000, ladies and gentlemen, we are having the capacity is 769,790 liters of water when the tank is full, making A the right answer. A very good question. You're supposed to know computation of volume and the relation between the units of volume and the units of capacity. 14. The temperature of a freezer is set at negative 15 degrees Celsius. Which of the following calculations gives the correct temperature in Kelvin? To convert from degrees Celsius to Kelvin, we add 273. So negative 15 plus 273 shall give us the temperature in Kelvin. So 273 less 15 can still be rearranged that way. If we don't have negative 15 plus 273, then we can have the rearrangement, making B the right answer. Yeah, making B the right answer that way. Or we can simply say 273 plus the temperature, which is a negative 15. So plus a negative remains negative. So that's the expression that shall give us the right answer. Now, the top of a monument is in the shape of a regular pentagon. Pentagon. Determine the size of one interior angle of the pentagon. Pentagon is 5-sided. That means the sum, sum is generally given by 180 into 2 into n minus 2. N is the number of sides into n minus 2. That's the general formula to give us sum. If we want each, then we will still divide by n here. So for us to get each interior angle, then we need to take 180 into the 5 minus 2. Then we divide this by the number of the angles. So 5 of them, and they are adding up to, 180 by 3 gives us 540. So they are adding up to 540 and they are 5. How much will be 1? 108 degrees. So each is 108 degrees because they sum up to 540 and they are 5. So because it's regular, then they are all equal to 108. A very good question. Look at 16, ladies and gentlemen. Number 16. Now, a flagpole is held by a wire that is anchored to the ground 4 meters away from the base of the pole. The wire makes an angle of 60 with the ground. What is the length of the wire? So the flagpole is held by a wire which is anchored to the ground, and we usually know 4 meters away from the base, the pole. So this is a pole. Then with the ground here, with the ground at this point now, there is a wire now. This is the wire. This is the pole. It's anchored on the ground like that. 4 meters away. 4 meters away from the base of the pole. Then the wire makes an angle of 60 with the ground. What is the length of the wire? What is the length of the wire? Therefore, we apply some trigonometry in this case. To apply trigonometry, we ask ourselves, with the angle of 60, the length that we need, the length that we have here is adjacent, and the length that we need is hypotenuse. Then we can conclude that the most suitable trigonometric ratio, according to SOHCAHTOA, we have adjacent and we need hypotenuse. Therefore, it's cosine. So we say the cosine of 60 is usually given by adjacent length of 4 out of a known hypotenuse. You can even let it be x. The hypotenuse now the wire. With this now we can say, we can cross multiply, or we multiply through by x. X, the cosine of 60 should be 4. Then to remain with x, we need 4 out of the cosine of 60. So x equals to 4 divided by cos 60. 4 divided by the cosine of 60. This is equivalent to 8 exactly. So 8 meters. We have an answer like 8 meters. So A is the right answer. Yeah, that's application of trigonometric ratios. A very good question. Now look at number 17. A surveyor wrote the length of a piece of land as 70 meters. She represented the length as 2.8 centimeters on a map. What was the scale used on the map? So scale is, what does 1 centimeter on the map represent on the ground? On the ground, we are saying that 2.8 centimeters in the paper are representing 70 meters on the ground. What about 1 centimeter? What is 1 centimeter representing in this case? 70 by 1 out of 2.8. What is 1 centimeter representing? 70 divided by 2.8. This gives us exactly 25. And now we're supposed to know that 1 centimeter now represents 25 meters. Now, for the scale to be written as a ratio, it has to be in the same units. So 1 centimeter is to 2500, so that the 25 meters represented are also made centimeters. So 1 is to 2500, making D the right answer in that case. The diagram below represents a right pyramid on a square base of side 3 centimeters. The slant height of the pyramid is 4 centimeters, just as you can see. How many edges does the diagram have? I know you were expecting volume of surface area, but now we are discussing the edges. What are edges? Edges are sides. Like VA is an edge. VB is an edge. VC is an edge. CD is an edge. DA an edge. AB, BC, VD, like that. So we can count each edge because the diagram is 3-dimensional and we can see everything clearly. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm seeing 8. Seeing 8. Can we recount from the base? Let's have them, the order in counting them. From the base, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Then now the landing edges now. That's 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have 8 of them. 4 at the base, 4 slanting. That is the meaning of edge. Look at number 19, ladies and gentlemen. Two similar solids have surface areas of 4 centimeters and 100 centimeters squared respectively. The larger solid has a length of 12 centimeters. Calculate the length of the smaller solid. Okay, this concept might be slightly above the JS. Actually, we should consider that this one is at least advanced. This one is a bit advanced, not at your level, but I will take you through how it's done. In JS or in grade 9 work, what is covered there is the linear scale only. Yeah, the linear scales only. We can't have area involved. But from the areas, we can get what we call area scale factor, whereby you can take 100 over 4. 100 over 4 gives us exactly 25. That's area scale factor. So we can get linear scale factor then. So the linear scale factor shall be the square root of the area scale factor. Hello, kindly use SMS. SMS, please. So the square root of 25, which is 5, this gives us now the linear scale factor. So now we are relating the two lengths using the linear scale factor. In case the length of the bigger one out of the length of the smaller one are divided, they should give us 5. So this smaller one now shall be this over 1. So 12 equals to 5x, and x shall be 12 over 5, 2.4. So that might be a bit expensive for grade 9s. Kindly ignore that one. We check number 10 now, which I believe is in our jurisdiction. A teacher wrote the numbers from 10 to 20 on a number card and asked a grade 9 learner to select a card at random. Determine the probability that the number of the card picked is a prime number. So how many prime numbers do we have between 10, and 20. So we first lead all the numbers 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. So the prime ones, numbers that can only be factorized into one and themselves, not by anything else. 11, 13, 17, and 19. Those are 4 numbers out of how many numbers do we have here? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Out of 11 numbers. So the numbers are 11, and out of them, 4 are prime. Therefore, B is the right answer in that particular question. We are transitioning to the section 2, where we shall be handling very serious mathematics now, structured questions. Kindly continue holding on until we go through mathematics, until we all feel that what we've done is math. You can't have enough mathematics. So be encouraged to stay around. Remember our one-time ahead program, whereby you're supposed to reach out to us through 0704 15 3366. I'm talking to your brothers and sisters in grade 7, 8, and 9, 2026. We'll be introducing them to the work of their next level, one-time ahead program, and also the senior schools, Form 4s and Form 3s, from the 20th of November to the 12th of December, 2025. And wait, do you purchase airtime for any network in Kenya? Safaricom, Airtel, Telcom? You just have to go to your M-Pesa, Lipa na M-Pesa. The pay bill number is 737356, as you can see on the board. Then the account number is the phone number that you're purchasing the airtime for. You enter the account number as the phone number that you intend to purchase airtime for. Then you proceed to enter the amount, you complete the transaction, then you receive your airtime instantly. So please utilize our facility here and invite your friends. Remember, you can also purchase airtime for a friend. You just go to the same procedure, Lipa na M-Pesa, the pay bill number 737356, then the account number now is the number of that particular friend that you're purchasing the airtime for. So please utilize our facility. Let's grow together. Section B now, 80 marks, structured questions. Number 21. A cooperative society received the figure you can see there, cartons of avocados from farmers in one season. How many times is the total value of digit 3 greater than the total value of digit 2? Okay, so we are having 18, 35, 72, 48, like that. So let's check the total value of the digits. This is in ones, tens, hundreds. So the value of this is 2 times the position, which is hundreds, so 200. What about the next number? 2 is 100, so thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. So 3 is in the position of hundreds of thousands. So 3 hundreds of thousands, like that. So the total value of 3 is 300,000. The total value of 2 is 200. So how many times is the total value of 3 greater than that of 2? You divide the 2. So how many times here? 3,000 over 2, 1,500 times. Yeah, it's greater 1,500 times. How many times? Sometimes you can be asked by how much is it greater? By how much is it greater? 22. 3 people, Odawa, Muliwa, and Amina, contributed money to purchase a flour mill. Odawa contributed a third of the total amount. Then Muliwa contributed 3 out of 8 of the remaining amount, and Amina contributed the rest of the money. The difference in contribution between Muliwa and Amina was 40,000 Kenya shillings. Calculate the price of the flour mill. Now let's manage these fractions very well. we're talking of Odawa. Odawa first. Odawa gave a third of the total amount. That means the remainder is now 2/3. Then we have Muliwa, who gave 3 out of 8 of the remainder, which is 2/3. And this now becomes a quarter of the money. Meaning that so far, Odawa and Muliwa have already given a third and a quarter. So how much is remaining? A third plus a quarter. This takes us to 7/12. They have already given us 7/12, meaning that the last person, who is Amina, gave now the remaining 5. Okay, 7/12 proportions have already been produced or given out, meaning that's only 5/12 remaining for Amina. 5/12 remaining for Amina to contribute. So we are having now all the partners together with their respective contributions. Now with that, let's talk about the instruction here. The difference in contribution between Muliwa and Amina was 40,000. Therefore, a quarter minus 5/12. What do we get as the difference in fraction? A quarter minus 5/12. That is the difference in the fractions of Muliwa and Amina. This is a 1/6, or 5/12 minus a quarter. 5/12 is greater, so we get 1/6. We just get the absolute difference, in other words, 1/6. The bigger fraction minus the smaller one. Let me not confuse somebody there. 5/12 minus a quarter, we get 1/6. So the difference in their fractions is 1/6. And now this difference is equivalent to 40,000. So one proportion, because it is 1/6, one proportion is equal to 40,000. This one was out of 6. What about the 6 total proportions now? 6 by 40,000. Now we'll get 2, 4. This is now the cost of this is now the price of the flour mill. Just get the total amount by saying 1/6 equals to 40,000. What about 6/6? Then you get everything like that. Number 23, ladies and gentlemen, on a certain day, a student measured the temperature inside a deep freezer and found it was -3 degrees Celsius. Check this negative well. There is a typing issue there. You might think it's only 3. So it was -3, while the room temperature was 24. What was the temperature difference between the room and the deep freezer? The difference is when you subtract 2 values. If I tell you that you scored in social studies 97, then you scored in CRE 78, what is the difference in the 2 scores? You will subtract. So we should take 24, the temperature of the room, and we subtract -3, the freezer's temperature. So this is 24 plus 3, taking us to 27 degrees Celsius. That is the temperature difference. Temperature difference. Very simple. Look at 24, ladies and gentlemen. A grade 9 learner was revising and a number written as 0.2. There is a typing error here. You should be having a dot there, implying that the 2 is recurring. Express the number as a fraction. Let me just confirm that number 24. Let me just confirm that. Number 24. Yeah, should be having a dot there to imply that the 2 is recurring. Therefore, we can let the number be R, 0.222, you know, recurring. Then we go to 10R, which is 0 times 10. When you multiply by 10, now it shall be 2.222 like that. And these ones are already giving a 0 on the decimals part. So we can subtract. When you find that after subtraction, the decimals can give you a 0, now you proceed. In case we found that after subtracting, we don't get a 0 on the decimals part, we would have proceeded to 100R, and we continue like that until we find two of them that can be subtracted to give us negative R. Therefore, 9R is equal to exactly 2. So that the value of R now becomes 2/9. Yeah, when you take your calculator and you divide 2/9, get 0.2 recurring. So that's how we convert it. In 25 now, in a fundraising committee of 45 people, the ratio of men to women is 7:2. Find the number of men required to join the existing committee so that the ratio of men to women changes to 5:4. Let's check initial number of 8 agendas. Men, they are taking the first proportion out of the total times 45. So men are originally 35. Then women are 2/9 by 45, taking us to 10. So women were 10 as men were 35. Find the number of women required to join the existing committee so that the ratio of men now changes to 5:4. So men remain constant as the number of women increase. So the number of men, which is originally 35, out of a certain new number of women should give us 5/4. So cross multiplication, 5x equals to 35/4. And x becomes 28. Yeah, when you divide through by 5, you get 7/4, which is 28. So now the number of women should be 28. So that 28 and 35 now give us this ratio. Should be 28. So how many women have been added? 28, and originally they were 10. 18 women are the ones to be added now. 18 women to be added like that. 18 women. At this stage, we can have an alternative working whereby men remain 35 as women are 10 plus a certain number, so that the ratio is 5/4. And after cross multiplication, should be 35/4, then 5/10, and also 5/x. So we can remain with 5x here. Then on the other side, we have 35/4, giving us 140, minus 50, giving us 90. To get x, we divide, and we'll be discovering that x, which is the number of added women, is 18. So you can use several approaches in that. Look at 26, ladies and gentlemen. Very good question that says that Brian bought 3 packets of milk and 4 loaves of bread for 540 from a shop. Jane bought 5 packets of milk and a loaf of bread for 440 from the same shop. Determine the cost of a loaf of bread and the cost of a packet of milk. These now simultaneous equations from word problems. Therefore, we first come up with the simultaneous equations according to the word problem here provided. 3 packets of milk. So for the packet of milk, we can let the price be x. So 3 times x for the packets of milk, and 4 times y for the loaf of bread to give us 570. That's equation 1. Then we have an equation 2, whereby Jane bought 5 packets of milk, so 5/x, and a loaf of bread, just a loaf, which is 440. equation 2. This is 1, this is 2. Now we can proceed to solve. From equation 2, you can say that the value of y is 440 minus 5x, yeah, to remain with y. So that equation 1 now is re-expressed. I'm using the substitution method, ladies and gentlemen, substitution method, whereby you look at the easiest unknown to express. According to what has been provided here, it is only y in the second equation which can be expressed without us incurring a lot of steps. So equation 1, 3x plus 4, the value of y now, according to our expression here, becomes this, equals to 570. So that now, at this level, now we can open brackets 3x plus, 440 multiplied by 4 gives us 1760 minus 20, the value of x equals to 570. We have negative 17x, negative 17 because of 3 and negative 20 equals to, now 570 minus 1760, giving us negative 1190. Then with this, the value of x can be gotten. When we divide through by 17, we are getting exactly 70 because the negative cancels first. Negative 1190 over negative 17. The negative first cancels. So x is the cost of what? The cost of a packet of milk. That's a packet of milk. Then we proceed to check now a loaf of bread, which is the value of y. So the value of y now shall be, according to, we have several expressions, but we can prefer this one, which is directly giving us y, 440 minus 5x. 440 minus 350. This gives us exactly 90. 90 Kenya shillings. That's the loaf of bread. Loaf of bread. So those are the costs. Perfectly found. You can use the elimination method if you want, no problem. When you follow through our revision program, you shall discover that we've several questions whereby we've used the elimination method, so you can revisit it. But whenever you're given equations, please prefer the method that will lead you to the answer without a lot of steps and more conveniently. 27. In an experiment, a learner drew a line L1 that passes through point 1, 2 and has a gradient of 5. Another line L2 is perpendicular to L1 and meets it at a point where x is 4. Find the equation of L2 in the form y equals to mx plus c. Now this one, I want to engage learners who have a very good understanding in what we call equations of straight lines. So this is how we shall maneuver through. This is how we shall maneuver. First, we have to know how the gradients behave when lines are perpendicular to one another. In this experiment, the first equation can be found. Let's get this equation first. Where we are saying this, we're saying that the gradient of 5 is given by y minus 2, change in y. So y minus the y coordinate, out of change in x minus 1 is over 5. So y minus 2 equals to 5x minus 5. Then to remain with y, 5x minus 3. I hope that is well arranged. Yeah, negative 5 plus 2. It becomes a negative 3. This is for line 1. Then they shall meet at a point where x is 4, meaning that the coordinate of that point can fully be found, the point where they meet. What is y when x is 4? 20 minus 3, which is 17. So now the coordinate of where they are meeting is 4, 17. That's where they are meeting. Then we have a point xy, and the gradient of line 2 is now going to be negative 1 over 5 because they are perpendicular and the first gradient is 5. We simply say that gradient 1 times gradient 2 should give us negative 1. Therefore, gradient 1 of 5 times gradient 2 unknown should give us negative 1. So gradient 2 shall be equal to negative 1 over 5. So we are having the gradient of the second line. We have a point where it passes, because according to equation 1, we can find the value of y when x is 4, and we state it as a coordinate now, 17, like that. Then with this now, we can find equation of this second line, whereby the gradient of negative 5 is given by change in y minus 17, out of change in x minus 4, cross multiplication 5y minus 17 multiplied by 5, 85, equals to negative x plus 4. 5y equals to negative x plus 89. Is that 89? Yeah. Because of 4 plus 85. The value of y is equal to negative 1 over 5x plus, when we take 89 and we divide by 5, we shall be having 17 and 4 over 5. So now we have the equation of the second line. A very good question that requires a student or a learner to have some serious understanding on the topic that they are dealing with, on the strand and substrand that they are interacting with. Remember to subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to share with friends. Remember 0704 15 33 66. This is our consultation line, which is also our M-Pesa line. You can reach out to us for more resources. Now, the two arms of a pair of a divider are spread so that the angle between them is 75 degrees. Find the area of the sector formed if the length of each arm is 10.5 centimeters. Take pi has 3.142. Okay, with this, we should be able now to talk about area of a sector being given by beta over 360 pi r squared. In this case, when the arms have been opened, they are forming a sector with 75 here, and their length becomes the radius. 10.5 now is their radius. So the radius of this sector formed is the length of the arms of the divider. So we can say that beta is 75 over 360 pi r squared. So this will be the area. Just multiply 75 over 360 multiplied by 3.142 multiplied by 10.5 squared, giving us 72.16. 72.1678. 72.1678, meaning that to 4 significant figures, you can just make that one a 7, like that. So this is now the area. It's good when we are preparing for this particular evaluation, we equip ourselves very well with the knowledge on measurement. And I hope you still remember that we need your siblings, we need your elder brothers in senior school, we need your younger brothers in the JS to join our serious program here from the 10th of November to the 12th of December 2025. Shall be happening This one shall be happening via Google Meet. So please join us as we cover Term 1 work of 2026. We target grade 7s, 8s, and 9s, and also the Form 3s and Form 4s. Consultation line is the same number, 070415336629. A commuter train moves from station A to D via stations B and C in that order. The distance from A to C via B is 70, and that from B to D via C is 88. Between the stations A and B, the train travels at an average speed of 48 kilometers per hour and takes 15 minutes. Between the stations C and D, the average speed of the train is 45 kilometers per hour. Find part A, the distance from B to C, and part B, the time taken between C and D. Let's look at the analysis of all this information. You know, the question is very good, and it requires a learner to know exactly what is happening and to also understand what it means by distance, speed, and time, and how to relate all of them. So allow me to sketch the information by first putting a straight line. This is A, there is a station B, there is a station C, there is a station D. The spaces are not drawn to scale. Then we are told that the distance from A to C through B is exactly 70. So the distance here is exactly 70. The whole of this distance is 70 km. Okay. And that from B to D via C is equal to 88. So from B to C, B to D through C is 88 kilometers. What else? Between the stations A and B, the train travels at an average speed of 48 and takes 15 hours. You know, 15 minutes, that is. You know, 15 minutes means a quarter an hour. 15 minutes means a quarter an hour. So from A to D, the distance from A to B, distance is given by speed multiplied by the time taken. So 15 over 60 is a quarter an hour. And this shall be a distance of 12 kilometers. So from A to B, this is 12 kilometers. Now, if this is 12 kilometers, and we are originally having from B to D as 88, why can't we say that now the whole distance is 100? The whole distance now is 100 km. But let's now check the question here. In part A, we need the distance from B to C. So for us to get the distance from B to C, we have to say the 12, which has been gotten here now. From A all the way to C, we add 70. And now from A to B, it's 12, meaning that from B to C shall be 70 minus 12. When we take 70 and we subtract 12, we'll get 58 km. 58 km, like that. We also find the time taken between C and D. Between C and D. You know, the total distance has been discovered as 100. And from A to C, it's 70. So the distance from C to D can be found 100 minus 70, giving us 30 kilometers. And we were given the speed there. Between stations C and D, the average speed of the train is 45 kilometers. So the time taken between C and D can be found by distance over speed. Distance divided by speed of 45. So the distance is 30 and the speed that the train took there was 45. Therefore, the time taken is 30 over 45, giving us 2/3 of an hour, or 2/3 hours, meaning that 2/3, to make them minutes, this is 40 minutes. But remember, the time in hours is already correct. 2/3 hours is already a correct expression of time, but you can still make it 40 minutes. Very simple. So that's how you were supposed to interpret the question. A very good one. At number 30 now, now a train driver is moving 40 kilometers per hour, applies brakes so that there is a constant retardation of 0.5 meters per second squared. Find the time taken before the train stops. There are two things that I want you to interpret very carefully here. We know very well that acceleration is usually given by final velocity minus initial velocity out of the time taken. Now, according to this equation provided here, according to the instructions given here, in this formula, how many variables are provided? One, we should know that this velocity should first be converted to meters per second. Therefore, 40 kilometers should be multiplied by 1,000 to give us meters. And 1 hour should be multiplied by 3600 to give us seconds. So that we have meters per second. This is exactly 11 and 1/9 meters per second. So a train moving at 40 meters per second, it means now the initial velocity is 11 and 1/9 meters per second. Then what about the final? We are talking about until it stops. Stopping means now 0 meters per second. Then we don't know time, but we can also talk about acceleration in this case. What is the acceleration? If the retardation is 0.5 meters, ladies and gentlemen, then acceleration is the negative value of this particular, 0.5. So now we can get to the formula with only t unknown. Negative 0.5 equals to final minus initial out of unknown time. So 0.5 negative equals to negative 11 and 1/9 out of time. How can you get time? By time, both sides. Negative 0.5 time equals to negative 11 to 1/9. How do you get time? You divide through by negative 0.5, whereby the negatives cancel, and we shall have this as 22 and 2/9 seconds. So that is the time taken. That is the total time taken by this particular train driver to come to rest, or rather to stop. 31, number 31, okay? A trader sold an article at 4,800 Kenya shillings after allowing his customer a discount of 12% discount on the marked price of the article. In so doing, he made a profit of 45%. Calculate the price at which the trader had bought the article. So we say this, that there is a profit here. So 4800 includes the amount they had bought together with the profit which has been, so 145%. What about 100%? How it had been bought? So it will be 4800 by 100 out of 145, giving us Kenya shillings. Giving us a 3,310.34. That's how they had bought the article. That is the buying price of the article. Then in part B, we are talking about the trader. If the trader had sold the same article without giving a discount, calculate the percentage profit he would have made. So without giving a discount, it means they would have sold that. You know, this is a discounted price. Therefore, it is equal to 88% because the discount given was 12%. What about without a discount now? The marked price itself. What about the marked price itself? 48 by 100 out of 88. You know, this will give us 55, no 54. 54.55 Kenya shillings. This is now the marked price of the article, only that after discount, it went to 48.00. So now we'll say they bought at this amount and they had placed the marked price at this value. So what profit would they have gotten if it were not for the discount? 55, no 54, sorry, let me write that value exactly. This is 54.55, and we subtract that 310.34. What are we going to get? We're going to get 2144.21 as the profit. What about the percentage profit? Percentage profit is given by profit itself out of the buying price, and we express it as a percentage. So this divided by 3310.34 times 100 will give us 64. The profit would have been 64.77. That would have been the profit if it were not for the discount. But with the discount, they still got 45% profit. Let's look at number 32, ladies and gentlemen. Number 32. Number 32. Remember, our consultation line is just pinned on the board. 07, 04, 15, 33, 66, like that. So that's our line. That is our line. You can reach out for consultations. Yeah. 32 now. A certain quality of gas is heated from 0 degrees Celsius and the volume measured at different temperatures. The table below gives the corresponding values, temperature and the volume in liters. See, when heated, we expect a gas to expand. So that's why you can see as the temperature increases, we have the gas volume or capacity also increasing. Draw a graph of volume against temperature using a suitable scale. Now, you're supposed to know something here, that whenever you're told to plot this against that, whatever has been stated on whatever is stated first, that one takes the y-axis. Against whatever is stated second occupies the x-axis. So we'll be having volume on the vertical axis. Volume in liters. Then we can have our temperature now in degrees Celsius on the x-axis. So temperature will be here in degrees Celsius. Something we're supposed to know is that according to the intervals of temperature that we have, and according to the number of squares we can see on the x-axis, we can actually use intervals of 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, and 110, like that. So we can plot temperature like that. Then according to the intervals of the volume, we can use, you can see this, the intervals are very small. So allow me use 0 0.5, 1.0, 1.5, 2.0, 2.5, 3.0, like that. 0 0.5, 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3, like that. So we have the axis well labeled. So we can proceed now to mark what we call the coordinates now. 21.8. We use 1 decimal place, of course. 21.8. So 20 and 1.8. 1.8 is just below 2, like that. Then 40 and 1.9. So 40 goes with 1.9, which is almost 2, because it's 9.5. Then 60 with the 2.1. 60, 2.1, not 2.2, so 2.1, like that. And should be 60, sorry. 62.1, yeah, like that. Then 80 with the 2.2. So 80 with 2.2, 100 with 2.3, 100, sorry. I think there's something I'm not doing right there. Yeah, I hope you can still see what we are doing here. I hope you can still see what we are presenting here. Yes. So let's talk about 80 with the 2.2. So 80 is here, 2.2 is exactly here. Yeah. Then 100 with 2.3. So 100 with the 2.3 should be that point, like that. So we have all the coordinates plotted. We have all the coordinates plotted now, because they suggest a straight line. Let's do a straight line connecting all the points. Actually, this is what we call a graph of a straight line. So we have a graph, a straight line, like that. Then after that, now we can respond to a few questions. Yes. Use your graph to find initial volume of the gas. Initial volume means when the temperature was 0. When the temperature was 0, what was the volume? So initial volume shall be given by when temperature was 0. We consider where the graph is cutting the x-axis, and that is a 1.5. So we have 1.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 1.8 liters. The volume of the gas when the temperature, find the volume of the gas when the temperature is 50 and 64. 50 and 64. So at 50 degrees Celsius, what will be the volume? At 64 degrees Celsius, what will be the volume? Let's go back to the graph and check. Start with 50. So at 50, we go until we intersect the line. Then now we read against that line the value that we have of volume. So the volume in between there, the value there is, after 1.8, we have 1.9, and it's beyond 1.9, but before before 2.0. So it's 1.95. liters. What about at 64? At 64, 64 is here. At 64, I can see it's exactly at 2.0. At 64, the volume is exactly 2.0. Exactly 2.0. What about it? The next question now, whereby we are told to find the temperature of the gas when the volume is 2.3 liters, and also 2.0 liters. So at 2.0 liters, it was 64 degrees Celsius, according to the previous question. Yeah, you have to be very wise there. You can't do it twice. What about 2.3? When volume is 2.3, what shall be? Let me even extend these a little bit. Extend the line a little bit. And now I advise you to be very careful as we handle this one. Okay, so when temperature is 2.3 at this point, what will be the capacity? So we do a very straight line there, so that we may see the value of temperature that shall correspond. So now after you've intersected the line, now we can read the temperature. We can now read the temperature down there. After we intersect the line, we now read the temperature down there, and that's 94 degrees. 94 degrees Celsius. Very simple. So those are straight line graphs, and that's how we are supposed to read them. Very good question. Number 33. This is a scale drawing question. Two villages, M and N, are connected by a straight road 750 meters long on a level ground. A third village, L, is 450 meters from M and 650 meters from N. Using a suitable scale, draw the diagram and find a diagram to show how the towns are related, and also find the shortest distance from L from the road. L from the road. The first thing that we're supposed to do, let's interpret this first. Let's interpret it. We need to do a straight line first. This is the road connecting M and N. M, then we say we use a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 100 meters. So that 750 becomes 7.5 centimeters. This becomes 4.5, and this becomes 6.5. So now we measure 7.5 along that to get N. That is the straight road. These are centimeters. Then after that, now we say, where is L? L is 4.5 from M and 6.5 from N. So at M, we do an arc using a length of 4.5. Then at N, we use an arc length of 6.5. We also make an arc, yeah, like that. Therefore, this is L, where they are meeting. So now we can connect L and M. Then we connect L and N like that. So this is now 6.5. This is 4.5. After that now, after drawing a diagram to show the positions, the next thing that we're supposed to do is the shortest distance from L to the road. Remember, when you go to the road through N, that's a very long distance. Through M, it's a long distance. Shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line joining the points. Therefore, we're supposed to drop a perpendicular from L to the road, which is MN. So standing at L, we make an arc. Then now, let me put the arc in a decent way. We make an arc to cut the road like that. Then at the points where the arc is cutting the road now, we stand there and make other arcs. So standing at this point, we can make an arc there. Standing at this one, we also make another arc to cut the first one. So you can now drop to get a perpendicular line. You can now drop to get a perpendicular line this way. So now the perpendicular line from L to the road becomes the shortest distance. Then now you measure the shortest distance now. When you measure that distance, it shall be 3.9 centimeters, meaning that the actual distance is 3.9 multiplied by 100. And this will give us 390 km, or meters, sorry. Meters. Yeah, meters like that. That is now the shortest distance. That's how it should be found. A very good question. You know, when you read it with a lot of brushing, you may not even understand that you are simply constructing a triangle and dropping a perpendicular from a point. You may not know, but if you're very careful, you'll be able to understand. If you're very careful, you'll be able to understand what is going on. So it's a very interesting question. We continue reminding you of our serious programs, the one-time ahead program for all the learners in JS and also in senior school from the 20th of November to the 12th of December 2025 via Google Meet. This one shall be powerful. You'll be interacting with very serious teachers in this country, covering 2026 term 1 work. Therefore, you're most welcome. Our number is already on the poster, bottom right. You can see our 0704 15 3366 there. So please follow the number and reach out so that you may know more about our programs. Now we check 34. Check 34. In number 34, we are told that Wageshi, whose high level is 182 centimeters tall, observed the angle of elevation to the top of her house to be 32 degrees from the eye level at a point A. She walks 20 meters towards the house on a straight line to a point B, at which she observes the angle of elevation to the top of the building to be 40 degrees. Calculate. This is simply calculate now. We are not determining by scale drawing. The distance of A from the house and also the height of the house. So that's what we'll be working out. That is what we'll be working out now. So this is application of trigonometry. This is the application of trigonometry. Let's look at it now. Let us look at it. We first sketch Kjsea is 1.82 meters tall. So Kjsea is here, 1.8 meters tall. Then on a level ground, let me show you this sketch. We are having a tall building, her building, top of the building from the eye level of Kjsea. From the eye level of Kjsea, we have an angle of 32. Then she walked from point A to another point B here. She's still the same height of 1.82. And after walking that distance, she observes again, and the angle as she walks 20 meters, yeah? So this is 20 meters. That. Okay. So now the angle of elevation is becoming 40 degrees, like that. So what are we finding first? The distance of point A, the distance of point A from the house, point A from the house. Okay, this is X. This is X centimeters. So we can have the distance up here, 20 meters, and X meters there, whereby we can first say that applying trigonometry, the most suitable here shall be tangent, whereby we can say the tan of 32. Tan 32 is given by opposite length, which is h, out of adjacent, which is 20 plus x. So h can be expressed as tan 32 multiplied by 20 plus x. Let me manage the space properly. Okay, let's have it like that. Then we are having the next as I know the screen is a bit misbehaving, but nevertheless, we shall do the work. Yes, we shall have it done properly. We shall have it done properly. So now we are talking about the tan of 32 multiplied by to give us h. Again, the tan of 40 should be given by h. H is the height at this point. The height at that point. H out of x. Yeah. So how do you get h at that point? X tan 40, like that. So we have an expression for h here, and this also for h. So you can have 1 and 2 like that. So if both expressions are giving us h, then it means they are equal. So we can say tan 32 multiplied by 20 plus x equals to x, the tan of 40. Yeah, because they are both expressions of x. So we can find x from these. Let's find x. Let's find x. Tan 32 by 20. This gives us 12.497 plus x tan 32 equals to x tan 40. So we can take x to the other side, whereby 12.497 equals to, we take tan 40 minus tan 32. Then this will give us 0.2142. 0.2142x. How shall we remain with x? We divide through. So 12.497 divided by, and we are getting 58.33. Let me check it once again. 12.497 divided by 0.2142. This gives us 58.34. Yeah, that is the value of x, meaning that from A to the house shall be 58.34 plus 20. We get 78.34 meters. That is the distance from point A to the house, like that. What about height of the house, which is h? We have h here. What about h? What about the h there? We can use this expression here. X multiplied by tan 40. So h equals to x multiplied by tan 40. Yeah, the tan of 40. What do we get here? 58.34 tan 40. This is 48.95. Meters, like that. But now the total height of the building. Remember, our Kjsea was standing. So we take care now of the height, the eye level, 1.82. So we shall add 1.82 now, her own height. This now going to be we add 1.82. This gives us 50.77. Yeah, 50.77. That is now the height of the building, part B, the height of the building. We first compute the height, which is above the eye level of Kjsea. Then after that, now we can add the height of the standing Kjsea. That way we get the total height of the building. 35, ladies and gentlemen. 35. 35. Yeah, we are almost winding up, guys. Stay tuned. Stay tuned. We are almost winding up. In number 35, we are told that a boy 1.5 meters tall and 8 meters from a tree finds that the angle of elevation of the top of the tree is 38. Find the height of the tree by scale drawing. We are having values of 1.5 and also 8 meters, so we can choose a scale of 1 centimeter to represent 1 meter. That way, we will now say that on our horizontal ground, there is where the boy is standing. So this is where the boy stands. Then there is a tree, 8 meters. So we measure 8 centimeters to where the tree is, that's the bottom of the tree. So now the boy, we have a vertical height here of the boy. So we measure 1.5 centimeters to represent the 1.5 meters. Then for the tree, we just raise a perpendicular line and make sure it's extremely perpendicular. Like that. That's the tree now. What are we saying now? From the eye level of the boy, from the eye level of the boy, now we measure an angle of 38. So with the protractor, we measure 38 as the angle of elevation. 38 is the angle of elevation. So we measure 38 as the angle of elevation to the top. Measure 38 like that. So once you measure 38, where 38, the angle of 38 intersects with the vertical light, that is the top of the tree. That is the top of the tree. That is the top of the tree, like that. Now with the top of the tree now identified like that, we can now measure the total height. Can now measure the height. So from top to bottom, this is going to be 7.7 centimeters, meaning that now the height is 7.7 meters, because each centimeter represents 1 meter. Then it shall be 7.7 meters, like that. Alternatively, some people will measure up to this point, the height above the boy, whereby you find it's 6.2, yeah. So you can measure the 6.2 here, so that you add the 1.5 below it, and you will still get the same. So you now do measurement, and using the scale, you convert 7.7 centimeters. According to the scale that I chose, it will remain 7.7 meters. Let's check here. A tea farm in Kakamega was surveyed, and the results were recorded in the surveyor's notebook, as shown below. The measurements in meters. Measurements are in meters. Calculate the area of the plot in hectares. The measurement of the plot in hectares. Measurement of the plot in hectares. All right. One thing that we're supposed to know here is that we should know how to interpret distances. And now that we don't need the scale drawing, we're just going to interpret the distances. We are just going to interpret the distances. So to interpret these distances, then we should talk about a baseline, which is a XY. So we first do a baseline XY. So from X, after 50 meters, you see there's 60 meters, and at 60 meters, I can't see any offset after 50 meters. So that means we continue up to 70. So after 70 meters now, I can see a measurement of 60 to B. So that one can go to the upper side. 60, that is B. Then we continue from 70 to 170. From 70 to 170, meaning that we are adding 100. After adding 100 to the opposite side, 80 to C. So that can go now to the lower side. 80 to C. Then after that, we proceed to 240. You know, from 170 all the way to 240, that is 70. So the interval, we consider the intervals, that's 70. So after measuring a 70 now, the same side where there was B, we have D 70. 70 to D. Then after 70, you can see now there is no more offsets, but at 250, we have Y. So that means we are only adding 10 to Y. 10 to Y, like that. So now we have distributed all the distances, and we have considered what we call the intervals. So the intervals are very key. Very key. Intervals are very, very key. And that is what we should consider. That is what we should consider. Like it. Yeah, so you're supposed to know that. From 0 to x, there is no distance included there. That means that x is on the baseline. And also, after the 250 here to y, there is no distance indicated there. You see, after 50 here, 250 to y, there is no distance indicated here. So you shall remain on the baseline. And also here at the 0 meters measurement, x is there. There is no distance you will move either to the right or to the left. So that's why x and y are automatically the baselines. Yeah. So now we can connect the tops of the offsets. So B can be connected to C. Then because we don't have any other offset on the upper side, we now directly take it to Y. Take that one to Y directly. Then here, from Y to D, and from D to C, and now from C all the way to X, because we don't have any other offsets now. Like that. So this is now, this is the what? The forest now. So to find its area, how many shapes are we having? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Area 1. Let's find all the areas. Triangular. So half multiplied by 70 multiplied by 60. Now this shall be 2100 meters squared. What about area 2, which is also triangular? Half multiplied by a base of 100, 70, and 10, so 180, and a height of 60, giving us what? 5400. Area 3 shall be equal to, it's also triangular, so half times a base of 10 and a height of 70. So this shall be 350. Okay, 700 over 2, yeah, 350. Then area 4 is trapezium in shape. So area 4 half multiplied by the two parallel lines, 80 and 70, times the distance between them, which is just 70. So this will be 150 by 35. This is 5250. And finally, we talk about area. We talk about area 5, which is triangle. Area 5 now will be given by half times a base of 70 and 100, which is 170, times the height of 80. You know, this will give us what? Half times 170 times 80, giving us 6800. 6800. So with this now, we can find total area. Let's find total area. Even before we convert it to hectares, we first find the total area. So the total area shall be 5250 plus 2100 plus 5400 plus 350 plus 6800. This is 19,900. Let's confirm. 5250 plus 2100 plus 5400 plus 350 plus 6800, 19,900. That is the total area, 19,900. So the area equals to 19,900 square meters. Then we say the area, when we divide by 10,000, should be 1.99 hectares. So because we needed it in hectares now, we divide meters squared by 10,000 for us to get hectares. Very simple question, very easy to understand. So the first thing is coming up with a good sketch, outlining the information to a map from a surveyor's book. From a surveyor's book to the map. Let's check 37, ladies and gentlemen. That 7, this is a question on statistics, or simply we can call it a data handling. Remember, our details are already attached. You are hosted by Shifting Grades Online School, YouTube. Our number is 0704 15 33 66. 37. The height of 36 students in a class was recorded to the nearest centimeter as follows. So we can see all the heights captured there. Make a grouped table with 145.5 as the lower class limit and class width of 5. Now that sentence alone cannot just be applied without you knowing what you're doing. You have to interpret it very well and very accurately. Therefore, a grouped table means a frequency distribution table. A frequency distribution table. So let me come up with a frequency distribution table for the heights that we can see. So we need the classes first. Then we also need a tiling column. And after that, we need the frequency now. Then after that, because we'll be finding mean and median, we need some more. We need some more columns. We shall fill them as we continue. Yeah, we shall fill them as we continue. But basically for the frequency distribution table, we need the classes here. And we need to tally at that point. And we also need now to compile the frequency. We need to compile the frequency now at that point. This should take you the shortest time. This one should take you the shortest time possible. Okay. Look at the class that has been given. Look at the lower class limit which has been given. Actually, this should be a lower class boundary. I don't know why. There must be a serious misconception there. We need the lower class boundary. Lower class boundary is needed. The lower class boundary is the one supposed to be stated there. Then what else? The class width of 5 means that if this is the lower boundary, then it means the limit is 146. The limit is 146. If that is the boundary, then the limit is 146. Let me check something as I charge my stylus pen. You can see it's becoming less sensitive to the screen, but you must finish up with the question on data handling and also the probability question as we wind up with this revision. Mhm. So the limit is 146 if the boundary is 145.5. That's the limit. So we are starting with 146. This one should go to, if we add 5 here, you discover that then if we add 5 to 145.5, the upper boundary should be 150.5, meaning that the limit itself is 150. So that's the class. Then we started to 151 all the way to 155. Then we start from 156 all the way to 160, 161, all the way to 165. Do we have values greater than that? Yes. 166 all the way to 170. Then 171 all the way to 171. Let me check. All the way to 175. Then we also ask ourselves, as we continue working out these, we're asking ourselves whether we have values greater than 175. Yes, I can see 178 somewhere. I can see 178 here. So we can say from 176 all the way to 180. All the way to 180. Now, do we have a value greater than 180 really? No, I don't see that. So now let's start tallying now. After distributing the classes like that, you start tallying. Every value should be crossed and placed in the class where it belongs. 148, I stick there. 156, I stick here. 160, I stick there. 159, 159, I stick here. 161, I stick here. 167. With 167, we talk about a stick here. 163, a stick here. 160, a stick here. They are now 4. 147, a stick here. 158, we now cross here. 165, a stick here. 168, a stick here. 166, a stick in this class. 157, a stick here. 172, a stick here. 155, a stick here. 165, this class. 157 should be here. 155 here. 175 here. 165, we cross here. 179 here. 173 here. 154 here. 158. 158, this is the class. 172 here. You see, every value is going to its class. 170, the class is here. 155. The class is here. 178. Here is the class. What about 157? 157. Here is the class. 171. With 171, we're supposed now to cross them like that, because now they are 5 now. 159. 159 should make us cross these like that. What about 162? Now 162 as a class here. 172. 172 at this point. 168. We cross these ones. Then finally 173. 173, this is where it belongs. So you see, we can now compile. We can now compile after tallying. These are 2. Then we have 4 here. Then we have 10. Then we have 6. This is exactly 5. This is 7, right? Because of 5 and 2. Then this is exactly 2. Like that. Can we confirm whether we've tallied well? By actually coming up with what we call CF, accumulative frequency column there. We start with 2. Then after adding 4, we get 6. After adding 10, we get 16. After adding 6, we get 16. After adding, we get 21. After adding 7 to 21, get 28. Then 30. Yeah. Then 30 like that. So this is heights of 30 students, they are not 36, they are 30 students, because 1, 2, 3, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They are indeed 36. So could we be telling something? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 1, 2, 3. They are 36 indeed. But when I add here, okay, sorry. Think I've seen my mistake in the addition. I've seen my mistake in this addition here. After 16, I still went to 16 again. We should be able to say this, After 16, we are adding 6 to give us 22, then 5 to give us 27, then 7 to give us 24. Again, another mistake. Again, another mistake in addition. After 22, when we add 5, we get 27. Then when we add 7, we get 34. And when we add 2, we should get 36. So they are 36, correct. They are 36, properly distributed. Properly distributed. Let's look at the mean height. For the mean height, we know that mean is given by summation of fx divided by summation of f. Therefore, x is the midpoint of every data. Then now we check every frequency times its midpoint. Fx is the total height in a particular class. When we take 146 and we add 150, then we take the average, we are getting 148 as the midpoint. 148 as the midpoint. Then now we multiply by 2, get 296. With this now, you should be able to know that all the students in the first class are represented by the midpoint of that class. So the height is between 146 to 150. So we pick 148 to represent the two people there times 2. Total height is gotten. 159 on 151 plus 155. Then we divide by 2. We get 153. So the next midpoint is 153. And we have to multiply it by 4, giving us 612. 612 like that. The next one is 156 plus 160, and we divide by 2, we get 158. Then now we multiply by 10 to get 1580. 1580. The next one is we get 161 plus 165, then we divide by 2, we get 163. 163, then we multiply by 6, we get 978. The next one is 166 plus 170, and we divide by 2, we get 168. Then with 168 now, we multiply by 5. 168 times 5, we get 840. Total height in that class. 171 is the other value. 171 plus 175. Then we divide by 2. We get a midpoint of 173. And we multiply by 7. We get 1211. Finally, we're talking about 176 and 180. Then the average is 178. That's the midpoint. 178. Now we multiply by 2 to give us 356. So we can add now the summation of fx that we use it now to find mid. All the heights can now be added up. All the heights can now be added up. 296 plus 612 plus 1580 plus 978 plus 840 plus 1211 plus 356. I'm getting 5873, but I can confirm that. 296 plus 612 plus 1580 plus 978 plus 840 plus 1211 plus 356, 5873 confirmed. So the summation of fx equals to 5873. So 5873 out of 36 of them. And this is going to give us 163.14. 163.14. That is the main. Then there is a part C, which is talking about median. Median is given by lower boundary plus total frequency over 2 minus cumulative frequency before divided by frequency of median class times class width. So we'll be substituting now to that after we've identified the median class. Remember, total frequencies is equal to, total frequencies equals to 36. So we take 36 and we divide by 2. We take 36, we divide by 2. That gives us 18. 36 divided by 2 is 18. Then now we follow the cumulative frequencies. This is called cumulative frequencies column. So we check where the 18th student is accommodated. This is just 1. This is 2. So 18th student is not yet. This is 6. So 16th student not yet. This is 16. 18th student not yet. But now with 22 of them, it means the 18th student lies here. The 18th student lies here. And this becomes our median class. This becomes our median class. The class 161-2. Median class is the one where the 18th student is. So the class 161, the class 161 to 165, that's the median class. So what is the lower boundary of this class? 160.5. So we start substituting now. 160.5. Let me get some sufficient space so that I work out everything properly, even as I substitute. Let me get some sufficient place. One thing that you're supposed to understand here, as we work out median, we need to come up with the lower boundary. So the lower boundary of this class should be the lower limit that we are having plus the previous upper limit. So 161 plus 160 and divided by 2. The average of the lower limit plus the previous upper limit divided by 2. So we get 160.5. 160.5, that's the lower limit. 160.5. So that's what we'll be talking about now in the formula for median. So median will be given by 160.5 plus 36/2, that is n/2, minus cumulative frequency just before this class. We add at this class, it's 22. So just before this class, we have 16 out of frequency of the class. So frequency of this particular class, is 6. So now we substitute 6 there, multiplied by the class root of 5. So 160.5 plus 36/2 is 18, minus cumulative frequency before 16, multiplied by 5/6, giving us 1.667. Then now we can find the median by adding. We get 162.167. This is now the median height, properly calculated. We are at number 38 now. This is our last question. We're still wishing you well and success in the Kjsea 2025 edition, the first Kjsea since the creation of the world. So you are champions. Please make us proud. Now, a basket contains 5 red, 4 green, and 3 blue balls. If a ball is picked at random from the basket, find, if a ball is picked at random from the basket, find the probability of picking a blue. So probability picking a blue means that the number of blues that we have, which is 3, out of the total balls here, 5 plus 4 plus 3, that is a 9 plus 3, which is 12. And this probability can be simplified to a quarter. So the probability of picking a blue is a quarter. In part B, find the probability of not picking red. Not red means probability of picking blue or probability of picking red. Not red means blue or green, sorry, not red. So blue is 5/12, or means addition. Green is 4/12. This is 9/12, which can simplify to 3/4. This can alternatively be done by saying that probability not red, no red means all the other options that are not red, which are 5 and 4, totaling to 9 out of a total of 12. Then we simplify these to 3 out of 4. So it can also be done directly that way by counting all the options that are not red, and they are 5 and 4, totaling to 9 out of 12 total possibilities, giving us 3/4. So that's how we work out such a part. Thank you for following. See you as we prepare for integrated science. All the best, champions.